Pakistan just bombed Afghanistan, and Afghanistan has said they're going to go to war this time. But there's so much more as well. China has released satellite pictures of American military bases. The most powerful warship in the world is sailing to Iran, and a lot more. This is a news recap covering all of the news in the last 24 hours. So here you go. And that's right, Pakistan did bomb Afghanistan last night, and I will cover it in a moment. But first, there's even more important stuff that you need to know about. Yesterday, for the first time, American stealth F-22 fighter jets landed in the UK in RAF Lakenheath. Now, you might not think this is a huge deal, but it really is. This is the first time these jets have landed there on the way to the Middle East today. These 6 F-22 fighter jets were spotted landing in the UK at practically midnight in complete secrecy. Nobody knew this was coming. And then they refueled and they left shortly after, and it sent a very clear message to the rest of the world. This showed the world that the US is preparing for a war here with Iran. The US currently has hundreds and hundreds of aircraft in the Middle East at the moment as they prepare for a war with Iran, but one of the things they didn't have was F-22s until today. The F-22s are America's absolute most advanced fighter jets, and really this is sending a clear message. But one of the most important parts about this is another thing that's happened in the last 24 hours that goes along with it, and that is the most powerful warship in the world is currently on its way to Iran. Last night it was spotted sailing through the Strait of Gibraltar and into the Mediterranean, and it's now only days away. But what is this warship? Well, this is actually the USS Gerald R. Ford Strike Carrier Group. That's the aircraft carrier and all of the warships that sail along with it, and it's now on its way to Iran. In fact, there's already an aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group, off the coast of Iran at the moment, and so this will be the second aircraft carrier that's there. This is the same aircraft carrier that was off the coast of Venezuela a few weeks ago when the US kidnapped and overthrew the Venezuelan president Maduro. Shortly after that, it was redirected to Iran, and today it just reached the Mediterranean, and now it's only days away from being off the coast of Iran. It's likely as soon as that arrives, along with these F-22 fighter jets, that the US will be in a much stronger position ready to carry out an attack, meaning it's more likely to happen. Like I said though, and the reason you clicked on this video, Pakistan has bombed Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is on the verge of war over this, and it's something everyone needs to know about. And it's by far the most important piece of news I'm going to be telling you today, and that's why I'm going to cover it in a moment. But first, whilst we're on the topic of Iran and the US being ready for war, there's still more that's happened in the last 24 hours around that. Like I said, China has released satellite images of American military bases, but something else, Turkey is panicking as well. Obviously, Turkey borders Iran, and so everyone needs to know why Turkey is worried. But for context, over the last 10 years, Turkey has learned something from what happened with Syria. During the Syrian civil war, over the last 10 years, nearly 4 million Syrian refugees fled into Turkey. Turkey had an open border policy with Syria, saying that Syrian refugees can come into Turkey and can be safe in Turkey. But Turkey learned a lesson from that they are a big strain on the economy. Today, the Turkish ambassador said, quote, "The economy cannot absorb it again, and society will not tolerate it again." And you might have realized, and this is what Turkey is worried about, if the US does attack Iran and they go to war and cause a huge problem in Iran, then millions of Iranians will try to flee Iran, and there's only one place they're going to go, and that is Turkey, because Turkey is the next step to Europe, and a lot of Iranians would like to go to Europe. And so Turkey doesn't want the same situation they had with Syria with Iran, and so Turkey is preparing now. Turkey is building a massive buffer zone on the border with Iran, but as well as that, they're strengthening their border. They're building huge concrete walls. They're putting a much bigger military presence there as well. This isn't because Turkey won't feel bad for the Iranians, but it's because Turkey simply cannot handle that many people flooding into their country. They're already in not a great state. And so Turkey is protecting themselves here by strengthening their borders and protecting it themselves. Turkey has a 560-kilometer border with Iran, and every single kilometer of that is now going to be incredibly heavily defended, according to Turkey. Turkey spoke on the situation with Syria, and they said, quote, "It became a massive economic and political burden, and this is exactly the scenario that we want to prevent if Iran destabilizes as well." Huge news, but there's even more. China has released satellite images of the US military bases, and Pakistan has bombed Afghanistan. But because I'm still on the topic of Iran, it's only right for me to talk about the Chinese satellite images first, because they're about the same thing. Last night, China released satellite images of American military bases all across the Middle East. Whether it's bases in Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, China released pictures of them and the aircraft in them. China did this for a few reasons: to show the rest of the world that China is watching the US, but also to show what assets the US does currently have in the Middle East. In some of these satellite pictures, China really exposed the US. For example, the US currently has 18 F-35 fighter jets in a military base in Jordan. As well as that, in a different military base, the US has dozens of cargo planes, C-130s, and refueling planes as well. The US currently has more military assets in the Middle East right now than they did when they invaded Iraq in 2003. Not to mention the other military assets that are on the way, the F-22 fighter jets I mentioned, and the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier that's currently in the Mediterranean, which I also mentioned. These satellite pictures will absolutely annoy the US, but it does also show a message to the rest of the world that China is watching the US. China will have a lot more information on whether the US is actually preparing for a war with Iran or whether this is just a show. To us, it looks like the US is going to go to war because of how much military assets they have there, but China might have some other information. Like I said though, the reason you clicked on this video, and that's Pakistan has bombed Afghanistan, and I promise you I will cover it after this next point. But so far, if you've learned something, I make these videos every single day covering all of the news in the last 24 hours, then please consider subscribing. But if you watch these videos even more, there's something I want you to know. These videos get demonetized because I talk about stuff advertisers aren't friendly with, and they cost money to make. There's a lot of production that goes into them, editing, etc. And so, because we don't make any money from the videos and they cost money to make, we sadly need your help. I'm actually considering quitting making these videos and stopping the news simply because I can't afford it anymore. I'm not exaggerating. This isn't me begging for money because I just want profit. These videos are making a loss and I'm going to have to quit it because I can't afford to just keep losing money over and over again. But I might be able to keep doing it if I get help from some of you guys who watch. And so if you're capable and you want to support the channel, you can give £3 a month. It actually helps fund these videos a lot more than you know. We really don't have loads of members at the moment, so your money actually will go quite far and it will really mean a lot. If you want to help out for £3 a month, you can fund these videos to be made. It means that I can make more of them and I won't have to quit. Then go to the top link in the description where it will say donate now. Truly, that will mean a lot, and I'll probably send you an email saying thank you very much. If you want to support, go to that top link in the description. But now, the moment you've all been waiting for is that Pakistan has bombed Afghanistan today. But I'm not exaggerating, and you need to know why Pakistan has done this. And well, over the last month or so, Pakistan has experienced a huge number of terrorist attacks on their country, killing dozens of people. Pakistan says they had conclusive evidence that it was ISIS behind the attacks, but they also said that they had conclusive evidence that the Afghan government was supporting ISIS, who carried out the attacks. Pakistan said, quote, the fighters carried out the attack at the behest of their Afghanistan-based leadership and handlers. And because of this, today Pakistan tried to stop it by bombing them. Pakistan says they bombed the attackers who carried out the attack and the places that they were staying in, coming up with the ideas. But Afghanistan says something different, which is why they're on the verge of war. Afghanistan said, quote, the Pakistani attacks hit a religious school and residential homes. And they also said, quote, the attacks resulted in dozens of deaths and injuries, including women and children. Specifically, at least 17 people were killed in these Pakistani bombs, according to Afghanistan. The Afghani Defense Ministry accused Pakistan of, quote, breaking international law and the principles of good neighborliness. And they also said, quote, we will hold the Pakistani military responsible for targeting civilians and religious sites, and we will respond to these attacks in due course with a measured and appropriate response. Now, this is not the first time Pakistan has bombed Afghanistan. They've done it multiple times before for a similar reason. And I will say Afghanistan hasn't really done much when Pakistan has done it, but today they've been more vocal than they have ever really before. And so it seems this attack has crossed a red line for Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is on the verge of war now over it, or at least they're threatening that. And hopefully we'll get some more details, and when we do, I'll keep you updated on that. Although sadly, I might not be able to keep you updated on that after something that Israel forced me to do a few days ago. I was actually banned from TikTok's creator program where they pay you for making videos. And sadly, because of that, I'm going to have to quit the news because of Israel being behind that, we believe. I'm actually considering quitting making the news now over the next few days. And so to understand why and what effect this could have, please watch this video. It will mean a lot and it will make a lot more sense. If you have seen it though, subscribe and come back tomorrow where hopefully I might be able to make a video.